Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff, joins us right now. Stephen, appreciate you making the time, breaking from your 21, 22-hour workdays at this White House to fill us in on, well, first, the aftermath of a highly successful speech. Did it all come off as you guys intended, and what should we be expecting here in the days ahead?
Well, first, it's great to be back on the air with you. I think it's the first time I've been on the air with you since President Trump was inaugurated back into the White House. So it's great to be on with you. And
yes,
I enjoyed getting the chance to come on your air many times during the 4 years between term one and term two. And it's very enjoyable to be here now, calling you from the West Wing of the White House. So thank you. The speech last night went more incredibly than we could have ever even hoped. And of course, we always know that these massive, internationally watched, must-see TV events for President Trump are where he truly thrives. But even by those extremely high standards, this speech exceeded their expectations. And of course, at the same time, Democrats humiliated themselves before that same international viewing audience, behaving in a way that really shocks the conscience of the country. I mean, it wasn't just disturbing. It was really profoundly sinister. I mean, to not stand and honor victims and their families who have been murdered by illegal aliens, to not stand and honor children, a child, a 13-year-old who was battling brain cancer, who's getting to live out his dream and become, to his surprise, an honorary Secret Service agent, and to see all of the inspiring stories and heroes, and a border agent who exchanged gunfire with a cartel, a girl who suffered a severe brain injury because she was spiked in the face by a male athlete. I mean, story after story of people who've overcome hardship, adversity, unimaginable loss. I was there last night. I was stunned that Democrats didn't stand to honor these Americans and their stories.
What do you attribute that to, Stephen? Do you think, I'm curious, I agree with you. I think it was the best speech that, Trent, thanks for coming on, and we're proud of all the work you're doing. I think it was the best speech that Trump has ever given in his career, not only based on how he did,
yes,
but
I agree with you, and we all appreciated your saying so, posting on X last night, so that's not going unnoticed. Thank you.
Well, it's well-deserved. You guys are busting your ass, and I thought it was a stellar performance by Trump, and you guys had weaved so many perfect narratives together to give people attention in the gallery there. Why do you think Democrats have so lost their way? Because leave aside politics, Stephen, it's basic humanity to cheer for a 13-year-old who's overcome brain cancer. It's basic humanity to cheer for a 95-year-old mother who gets her son back from Russian captivity. These are not political related concerns. I talked some with people afterwards, and they said the left wing has so taken control of social media that all of these Democrats are terrified to be seen as in any way applauding anything the president does. And also there's a crazy level of groupthink that has destroyed them. What do you attribute this to? Because it's not normal. It's super weird, and I know Tim Walz tried to say Republicans were weird, but it's also profoundly inhumane to me, leaving aside the politics.
Well, you're right. I mean, it displays a shocking absence of humanity at a very fundamental level, at a human level. You know, you see these people who have suffered and endured loss and pain that people can't even imagine. How do you not stand and honor them? How do you not show any kind of respect or decency in that moment? It really does defy any attempt to describe it or understand it. You know, President Trump at the beginning of his speech challenged Democrats to, for just one night, put aside their own petty and personal and partisan feelings and celebrate big wins for America. For example, like you mentioned, getting somebody back who was improperly detained in Russia to be reunited with their family would be an example of a big win for America that everybody should stand up and applaud, or capturing the terrorists behind the Abbey Gate murder of 13 U.S. service members. These are things that you would think everybody would riotously applaud because it's such a huge win for the country, such a huge win for our people. It does defy description. I would have to say that I think what's happened is the Democrat Party as an institution has become severely radicalized. I'm not using that term as an insult, although they deserve it. I'm using it clinically. I'm saying they've clinically become radicalized the way that the closed society or a cult or some other social group does that lacks any kind of outside input, any kind of exposure to alternate points of view. And the more time they spend with each other, and you sort of alluded to it, in their closed social media circle as well too, the more extreme, the more radical they become, to the point in which, here's a good example. Senator Mark Warner was on TV recently. He had accidentally said something good the day before about President Trump's work on the border. And then he went on TV the next day to take it back and apologize for ever even implying or suggesting that President Trump had done anything good on the border. Again, this is the same political party, as you know, that has venerated criminals for years and years and years, that has venerated people who have engaged in violent contact, like Black Lives Matter rioters, for years. And they couldn't even stand for the family of Laken Riley, who was barbarically murdered by an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. It's a crystallizing moment in terms of where we are as a country. We have one political party, the Republicans, led by Donald Trump, that is broadly fighting for issues that 85% of Americans agree on. Then we have another political party that is just lost in the wilderness and has gone completely mad.
We're speaking to Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff. And Stephen, give us, if you can, or I know you can, so give us, if you will, a sense of what is coming next here on the agenda. We've seen a lot of the executive orders. We didn't get to it earlier today, but a federal judge decided that he could determine on his own that $2 billion must be paid for a USAID contract. Supreme Court 5-4 has come down and is essentially mandating that payment. So we know that the courts are going to be a battleground. What are you expecting with regard to that? And also, what can we expect when it comes to immigration enforcement and some of the major operations that have certainly been hinted at?
Well, I mean, the district court judge issue is a very severe one, perhaps one of the most severe. So it's important to understand there's 700, more or less, district court judges nationwide, or about 700, like 680 district court judges nationwide, a larger number than many people might imagine. And so when you hear the term federal judge and join something, you're talking about one person from a pool of almost 700. So larger than the number of House Democrats by a significant margin, for example. A subset of those federal judges are equally as radical as, say, Al Green, who was escorted from the chamber last night, or Ilhan Omar, or an AOC, et cetera. And so we have a situation now as a country where, again, these are people that, Biden or Obama forced through on a party line vote that got, zero national attention because, let's be honest, very little national coverage of a district court judge being appointed to, say, San Francisco. And so you have a single district court judge that is sort of represents 1% of the American population ideologically, that gets to assert the powers of the presidency for themselves and says, I'm going to be president now. I'm going to decide what our foreign policy is. I'm going to decide what foreign aid we're going to fund or not going to fund. I mean, it's breathtakingly unconstitutional. The founding fathers would have been horrified that anything even resembling what I just described could happen. And clearly, the Supreme Court is going to need to establish new rules and procedures for district court injunctions because it deprives the American people of their ability to exercise democracy. In other words, you vote for a change in policy, you elect a new president, you can't have district court judges preventing that president from executing the policies that he campaigned on. So it's a very real and a very serious, very direct threat to democracy and our democratic system of government. And clearly there's going to need to be reforms.
We know that you are working, Stephen Miller, with us now, White House Deputy Chief of Staff, hours that are probably extraordinary. I know you have 3 young kids as well. I know your wife has also been working like crazy. Take it outside of the policy world for a moment. What is your average day like right now? There's a lot of parents out there that have serious jobs. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? What is your day like? And then second part of this, and I texted you about this because before, in the 4 years when you were on with us regularly, we established your affinity for Karate Kid and the Cobra Kai series, which I sat around on February 13th and watched with my 3 boys. Have you had any moments of just non-work basically since January 20th or frankly even since November 5th? What's your day-to-day life like right now?
Yes. Well, so unfortunately, I have not had the chance to watch the last installment, so no spoilers here, please.
You're safe.
Kai, because I have not had that kind of time. But maybe I'll be able to get a chance to catch an episode here or there in the near future, because obviously I've invested a lot into the series personally and emotionally, so I'm definitely going to finish it. But I mean, to answer your other question, look, when you work in the White House, when you work more specifically in the West Wing as a senior aide to the president, you're on 24/7, and you're on wherever you are. There's no such thing as being off the clock. The notion of working hours and non-working hours doesn't exist. If you're awake, you're working. And frankly, sometimes if you're asleep, you're about to be working because you're going to get a phone call while you're sleeping. But that's exactly what we signed up for. That's what the American people expect of us. That's what the taxpayers expect of us. That's what the president expects of us. The people who work in these jobs is to be on call 24/7 and do everything possible to advance the agenda. And if you look at the scope and the pace of activity over the last 6 weeks, again, President Trump has crammed 8 years of action into 6 weeks, but even that understates it, because name any president in the last, decades, generations, who's done anything this good in 8 years, let alone in 6 weeks, right? In other words, other presidents come in, they just tinker around the edges or make things dramatically worse. We went in under President Trump's leadership and fundamentally reformed this government at every level in 6 weeks. But that's just the beginning. As you said last night, we are just getting started. And you're going to continue to see a flurry of transformative actions that are going to change this government forever. The changes that Americans have been wanting their entire lives. Our whole lives, the bureaucracy has been untouched, unbothered, doing whatever they want to do. He's imposing democratic control over the bureaucracy, and you're just seeing the beginning of that effort, completely rewiring our whole U.S. immigration system to establish a policy of absolutely no unlawful entry into the United States, combined with the mass removal of those who are here illegally right now, and having the military be at the front and center of that mission, as we have seen. And by the way, you and I talked about that, probably a year, maybe more ago, about how central the military was going to be in this operation, and now you've seen how true that is. And President Trump is the first president since Eisenhower to use the military to secure the homeland of the United States from illegal immigration. And on issue after issue, you're going to continue to see that level and scope and pace of change. And so I would just say, as excited as you've been these last 6 weeks, just wait till you see what happens in the next 6 weeks.
Outstanding stuff, Stephen Miller. Keep up the good work. I hope at some point you get to watch a television show to dial back a bit, but we appreciate everything you and your family are doing.
Thank you. God bless. Talk to you soon.
For sure. That's Stephen Miller. I want to tell you the most effective way to protect your family and your home: Sabre products. Sabre, spelled S-A-B-R-E, manufactures a complete line of non-lethal security tools. Make your home more secure and your personal well-being safer from an unwelcome threat to your security. Sabre's been manufacturing a growing number of products, 50 years. We have them all throughout the Travis household, whether it's their non-lethal pepper spray launcher. If you got kids, grandkids coming in the house, hours that maybe are a little bit later than normal, maybe you're already asleep, you hear something, an alarm goes off, You think, oh, I bet that's my knucklehead son, my knucklehead daughter sneaking in. You don't want to do anything lethal, but you also want to make sure your family's still protected. That's exactly what the pepper spray launcher was made for. You can take down an intruder or attacker, but again, it's non-lethal. How about just when your kids are out? Maybe they're going riding the bus. Maybe they're on a college campus, high school, going to and from a job. They're teenagers. Pepper spray to be able to protect them. Locks specially made to protect your doors, make it harder to get in. We've got all of this in the Travis household. Family-owned business to make your family safer. Check it out. 15% on the website today. SABREradio.com. That's Saber Radio, SABREradio.com. Check them out today. 844-824-SAFE. That's 844-824-SAFE.